しかも私の目の前でベタベタベタベタ毎日気安く触んじゃないっつうの。召喚獣
Yo! Another misunderstanding cleared. Remember, communication is complex, but necessary. And the most simple, direct fix to the complexity of communication is just verbalizing it, just talking it out. Hello friends, my name is Benoit Kim, a UPenn educated licensed psychotherapist and your favorite yapper. Welcome back to my detailed psychological analysis of Horimiya episode 9, a yapper exclusive series. Due to the recent camera and Wi-Fi connection difficulties, I am trying out a brand new setup, so please bear with us through this adjustment period, and I pray to the gods of technology that this will be a seamless and a much needed change and upgrade. Because remember, change is the only constant, and death, of course. Anyway, remember, you matter, you are worthy. Sit back, and I hope you enjoy. Oh, I like the beginning.
前は三つ編みもできたんだよ。
されるがままか。
ああ、あれ。山田くんかわいい。髪結んでる。堀さんにしてもらったの？
But the unexpected consequences, because everything we do can be categorized into two categories: intended consequences and unintended consequences based on our actions, reactions, and behaviors. Because we know what we know, and before we exert and display a certain behavior, before we make a certain decision, we try our best to make our calculations, decision making. Of course, we try to be thorough. At the same time, life is comprised of so many unknown and unexpected variables, because life is this giant, massive, the great unknown that we call life. So Hori's unintended consequences of braiding Izumi's hair and doing all this is other girls find him even more attractive, and we see Hori burning. Look at him, lava cane. Her volcanic eruption is pending. Hori is not having it, yo.
チャイム鳴った。また明日ね。
Oh, poor Izumi. It's gonna be flipped. Izumi's gonna go from submissive domination consensually to Hori is going to dominate and violate Izumi based on that anger and how dare you look so cute? Why is your face so small? Who gave you that permission? And of course, Izumi is going to be like, you? Great start. Too funny. I think Toru saw that coming, and he was in anticipation of that violence, pending violence, dooming violence, because we saw his eyes, and we all know Hori's personality at this point. It's very endearing.
早く帰るわよ。
あ、じゃ。
Who's that? Another new character? Interesting. And I wonder at this point if Izumi understands the underlying emotion behind Hori's violence, I suppose, when she gets mad and all of that. Obviously, it's very kawaii, it's very wholesome. But remember, because of Izumi's background and his psychological character, his psychological profiling that I established, I wonder if he's going to internalize that. And internalization is a psychological process where we take in external feedback, and over time, based on our biases, our insecurities, and how we feel in that moment, the external feedback will get embedded into our psyche, subconsciousness, and that will actually influence our self-esteem, how we view ourselves, perception of ourselves. And we do know that Izumi already struggles with his self-perception because of his low self-esteem and a lot of the, I guess, social isolation and bullying he endured until he found this amazing group of friends. And with the shocking reveal in episode 8 last week, in the beginning, with his multiverse flashback type of conversation with his younger self, it appeared he went through suicidal struggle. So because of his context, his circumstances, who he is, although who we are is not always indication and predictors of who we are becoming. Because who we are becoming is comprised of the past and our present. This is the reason why we have to accept our past. Because without self-acceptance of our past, whether it's good, the bad, or the ugly, we cannot truly be solid and be certain about who we are today. And without being certain and having that solid foundation for how we feel about who we are today, how can we shape, improve, and even blossom into our best potential, into who we are becoming tomorrow? This is the reason why self-acceptance, and I'm so big on self-compassion, self-love, because without that work, nothing else will stick. Because how can the external influence the internal? So we must begin with our internal perception, internal work, internal acceptance. And then on top of that, like cherry on top, the external stuff will help, whether it's external validation, affirmation, love, and all that. Anyway, come back to what I was saying. I wonder, because of all of Izumi's context, he can actually understand the underlying emotion that Hori is not actually mad. He did nothing wrong, but it's a sign of affection. And this is the reason why communication is so tricky. It's seemingly simple, but complex. Because being complicated is not the same as being complex. Complicated is our ability to assemble a microwave. Can we deconstruct it and create a microwave? We can't do that unless you're an electrician, custodian, right, handy person, and an expert. That's complicated. Although we use those two words very loosely, but their Latin root words are very different. But complex is things that is seemingly simplistic to understand, but hard to execute. So assembling and deassembling a microwave is complicated, like engineering feats. Complex is communication. Seemingly straightforward, but multi-layered and not easy to execute. This is the reason why communication is complex, to my point. Because it's not always our actions, but the underlying emotions. And I wonder how long will it take for Izumi to truly understand. Because the reason why I'm yapping a lot about this is because I saw Izumi's facial expression. He kind of frowns out of concern that, oh my gosh, Hori's mad. What do I need to do to comfort her? What did I do wrong this time? Even though Toru is like, hey, it's not Izumi's fault. Everyone else gets it, but when we are the ones going through it, we don't always understand because we have blinders on. Our biases and our emotions are very powerful influencing factors based on that influence our perception. Can I have my bag? Yo.
怒ってるもしかしてさっきの女子の子
Look at the stark contrast between Izumi's wholesome, innocent face because he did nothing wrong. And Hori's embarrassment with her sweat drops, she knows that it was her own doing because I'm sure they made a deal with that I talked about. Man.
だって嫌でしょ前は空気しかも私の目の前でベタベタベタベタ毎日気安く触ってないっつうのそんなんじゃないもん
そう
What she said is respect and valid. That I also strongly dislike the fact that they treated you invisible. They treated you as you were non-existent. They showed you with no dignity, no respect, no humanity. Yet as soon as your outside appearance, your physicality, your physical appearance changed, now they're all over you, now you're popular. And I talked about that, right? When Izumi got his hot guy haircut, all his friends were shocked because I think they kind of understood his forced decision out of necessity for that gossip between Hori and Izumi that forced him to cut his hair. Whereas all the other superficial people were oozing over him, were amazed, they were head over heels, they were all surrounding his desk. I think that's what Hori's talking about. So it is a callback to that, but also it speaks to Hori's true thoughtfulness and consideration that, hey, I don't want you to be popular among those girls because they didn't care about you. They were trash. She didn't say that, but I think that's a sentiment. And who is this random guy with the short hair? This is the second time we're seeing him getting camera time in passing in the classroom in the beginning of the episode and now walking by the street. Is it Izumi's new romantic rivalry? Huh?
宮村宮村じゃん。あいつさ、やめといた方がいいってマジ。暗いし。よくき
Oh, those were the bullies in the middle school. Dang. They're the true trash. But of course, we cannot be judged by our worst mistake, especially if they're adolescents, because generally speaking, for guys, our brains, our neurological network, generally speaking, they don't fully develop until about like at 22 to 25, give or take. And this is the reason why for schizophrenia and a lot of severe mental illnesses, their onset means the time when the symptoms are activated. So usually the average onset age for schizophrenia for males is about anywhere between 23 and 26. For females, it could be either sooner or even later, like 27 to 30, is because our neurological development, our brain development is usually happening around those age for males and females. But of course, this is a general statement because humans, we are not statistics. We are larger than the sums of our parts, period. Regardless, obviously these were bullies of his past, and seeing them, I'm sure, activate and brings back a lot of traumatic memories, unhealthy thoughts. His self-esteem will be impacted because how visceral the trauma is. And this is the reason why trauma work is complex. Remember what I talked about, the difference between complicated and complex? Trauma work is complex because we are not just working through the actual experience of trauma. Because being traumatized is not the same thing as having trauma. I have a lot of trauma, but I'm no longer traumatized by those experiences because I've done my trauma work and have done a lot of my work therapeutically, clinically with my own therapist and so on. When we're doing trauma work, you not only have to heal and work through the experience of trauma, you also have to untether our feelings, our perceptions from that trauma. And this is the reason why trauma permeates through everything. And trauma work encompasses all of that, untethering, disconnecting the connections about how we feel about ourselves based on what happened to us. Because what happened to us is often not our fault, and they do not define us. At the same time, if we do not do the trauma work, do the necessary work, whatever avenue that might be displayed as, experience of trauma invariably influence our perceptions of ourselves because those experiences of trauma get embedded quite literally, neurologically, and physically into our psyche, our psychology. And this is the reason why I love the book The Body Keeps a Score, which is the first book that established the mind-body paradigm. Our psychology influences our physical, and our physical influences our psychology. And back to Izumi, I think seeing them is, I'm sure, activating his psychophysiological response because I don't think Izumi has done his complex trauma work yet. So we'll see how he responds.
ついたな谷原。お前白状すぎだわ。
See, there's still an ass in front of him. They're mocking him. Oh, dude, good eye. Man. But of course, we all grow as our brain develops more fully. We become more mature emotionally. Because I was as immature and I was not as a wholesome and a good of a guy as I am now at age almost 33 when I was 15, 16, 17 years old. Because that is a long time. And I'm strongly against the idea that whatever mistakes we have done in the past should define who we are today, with some very wobbly and weird cancel culture back in the day by skipping due process and so on. Because we are supposed to change. We are supposed to evolve and improve. Evolution, improvement, changing for the better. Like me, out of necessity with my technical difficulties, upgrading my camera and recording setup. It's been extremely stressful the past few days, but it's necessary and it is good once we survive this adjustment period. It's the same thing for humans. We're supposed to get better. So I'm not going to judge these high schoolers based on the mistakes of their middle school, and hopefully they continue to evolve and get better and become more self-aware. Because without self-awareness, there can be no change. Because if you're unaware of yourself, you're also going to overlook and be blindsided by your own shortcomings, weaknesses, and character defects. We all have character defects. And the only way to improve upon those is by becoming aware about ourselves, the good which is easy, but it's the bad and the ugly. It's those facets of ourselves. Those are the tricky ones. Because to work on ourselves, we must first admit we were wrong. And this is the reason why seeking help is so difficult for so many folks, but especially for men. Because to seek help, we first must accept that we need help. And that's the biggest barrier to seeking help for so many. Because to accept that we need help means we have either character defects or we cannot be entirely self-reliant. We cannot tackle this behemoth of life by ourselves. But of course not. As I've been yapping incessantly and excessively in all my series, life is a team sport, requires team effort.
なんだよ、背伸びたじゃん。てかピアスやべえな。
呼ばれた胸くそ悪いんだよな。
What the?
高校入って調子こいてるわけ？
Bro.
お前弱い女に荷物持たせてんの？
Yo, they were straight up pricks. Okay, I'm still gonna try not to judge them because I do know that so far everyone in this show is wholesome. And Remy, obviously the one who I judged, also turned out to be an amazing, amazing person. So I'm going to bite my tongue. I'm gonna bite my tongue for now. Oh, okay. And I hope Hori beat their asses. I'm gonna bite my tongue, but Hori doesn't have to because she is his girlfriend.
やめろよ、谷原。
いいもん手に入れたじゃん。よかったね、宮村。
Pricks.
おい、返事くらいしろよ。中学時代知ってる？すっげえ暗くてさ、いつもぼっちでさ、かわいそうな。
ね
Yo, remember Hori's violent tendency. She's gonna beat their ass, literally.
え、話は終わったかって聞いてんのよ。私が。
え？
高校生。第一に私それであいつらに対してこうムカッときたわけよ。だってさ、宮村の悪口をさ。
Aww. Episode is called It's Hard But Not Impossible. But obviously, we see Hori is obviously holding Izumi's hand, and this is the, I guess, speaking of evolution and progress, the progression of their relationship. They're already at a point, their brainwaves are syncing, and they're on this mutual understanding that yes, obviously Izumi was getting bullied yet again by the past bullies who inflicted trauma of the past, in the past. Instead of Hori asking like, hey, are you okay? Hori didn't really talk to Izumi. Hori's not comforting Izumi directly because she knows this is a sore spot. This is a very vulnerable, sensitive spot for Izumi. She fully understands that he's feeling very vulnerable at this moment. So rather than talking to him directly about it, because when we're feeling really vulnerable and stressed, asking about, hey, are you doing okay? How are you doing? Obviously, you're not doing okay. So of course, checking in helps. It's the same thing when we lose someone in our lives, going to a funeral, loss of life in our family members, like Izumi a couple episodes back, asking, how are you doing? I hope you're doing okay. Of course not. You just lost someone that you love. You just lost a family member. Or whenever someone's like, hey, I'm sorry for your loss. When people say that to us, it doesn't really help. We just get more frustrated. Are you really sorry? Are you really? And of course, when people check in, they mean well. But there's usually a gap between our intention and impact. Our intent matters, but it's usually the impact that it will influence us the most, and it's usually the impact that people remember. And this is yet another sign and hallmark of the complexity of communication that I yapped about in the beginning. So instead of going through all that, because Hori understands Izumi, because of the progression of their lovely relationship, she instead went the other way by beating those bullies up and just clinging into his arms and trying to make light of the situations. Oh, I couldn't help it. I was in a crappy mood. How can they talk to you like that? And through that, it's very soothing and very comforting. Just like everyone processes and deals grief differently, every relationship processes their communication and the gestures of comforting and how we soothe each other and our significant other people, it's all different. And this is the reason why we cannot compare our relational dynamic with other people. How come you never do this for me? Look at Rachel and her boyfriend, or X, Y, and Z, fill in the blank. Everyone's personalities, temperaments, psychological profiling, everyone's different. And if individuals are different, how can dynamic, which is the interplay, the interaction of those individuals, to be the same? Of course not. That's why I strongly discourage everyone from comparing our relational dynamic, romantic or interpersonally, with other people, because you cannot compare apples and oranges. You just can't, you know? Anyway, massive shout out to Hori. She handled this, I think, in the best way, knowing what she knows about Izumi and knowing their dynamic. And of course, this put Hori in a good mood and Izumi in a good mood. So win-win-win.
はい、ポテトとコーラですね。
Shindo. Oh, and they're the friends with Shindo. Oh.
宮村に会ったんだ。
宮村？お前よくちょっかいかけてたよな、中学の時。
Yep. What a bitch ass, dude. He got beat up by freaking Hori. Man, not that a girl cannot beat up a guy, but just what a bitch ass, right? But again, this is what I said, and this is why I'm trying to bite my tongue, because it looks like there's going to be a flashback and recontextualization about who this guy is. Because again, generally speaking, I talked about this Takopi's original sin or silent voice. Most bullies, unless they have antisocial tendencies, which is sociopathic tendencies, or oppositional disorder, defiance disorder, and so on, unless they have those, generally speaking, most bullies themselves represent fragile ego, fragility psychologically, and a lot of emotional trauma. It's because of their emotional trauma and baggages they carry. They're trying to inflict those same baggages onto those people. Why? Because hurt people hurt people. When you're hurt yourself and you're not seeking help, you're going to inevitably inflict those pain and trying to hurt other people. One, to relieve yourself of that pain, and two, because that makes you feel powerful in that moment through bullying or being angry. But that power is an illusion, because after that, again, if you're not sociopathic, comes the tidal waves of guilt, shame, self-judgment, and creates a vicious cycle. So what do? You double down on your dissonance. Dissonance happens when there's a gap and discrepancies between your actions and beliefs. And the only way, there's two ways to reduce our cognitive dissonance. One, by changing our actions to align with our beliefs, or to change our beliefs to align with our actions. That's why a lot of people, they get stuck in this just abyss of denial. Because of that cognitive dissonance, that guilt, that shame is too strong. So what do? They double down on their bullying actions or otherwise. But most people, like in the silent voice and Taco P's original sin, this is not a spoiler, a lot of bullies and so on, they end up changing their actions, improving their actions to be more aligned, authentic with their beliefs. Because no one is born a bully. No one is born a bad person, air quote. And I hate the oversimplified black and white framework of good and bad, because humans are complex. Complexity cannot be confined to the simplistic framework of black and white, good or bad. So let's see what the context is. Bunnies?
知らねえよ。
That was a weird flashback.
宮村のさ、あれなんだろう。多分彼女だと思うんだけど、進藤知ってる？
Of course.
宮村の？ああ、堀さんか。
Oh, and I remember the blue hair guy, because remember in the middle school flashback that Izumi had when they were sharing the upbringing and how Izumi and Shindo became best friends? Because Shindo was the only person among his friends group who were comprised of bullies who approached Izumi without judgments. And that's the reason why I remember the last flashback in that a scene back in however episodes ago, Shindo walked out and saying that, hey, good luck, or I may not see you guys again, or, you know, try not to judge. So that's what I remember now. That's why I forgot that Shindo and them were friends.
って言うんだ。
お前、 昔のつもりでちょっかいかけねえ方がいいぞ。
Amen, brother.
今の宮村の防御力なめんなよ。
He's really leveled up his defense stats.
彼女じゃ
Yo! Oh man! Izumi is a summoner. That's his class, MMORPG class. And Hori is his #1 summon. I'm dead, yo. Elite stats.
なくて召喚獣か何か。
気に入らないと言いつつかまって、宮村のこと無関心じゃいられない。
Oh, you see? I knew there was something there. And I'm glad I learned my lesson to bite my tongue from, that episode from Apothecary Diaries. No spoilers. But from that episode about that particular character, I learned to bite my tongue, to truly not judge and make assumptions, which is what I've been talking about. So I'm glad I did not make an ass out of myself this time. So I'm excited to see what else reveals. And I wonder if the episode title, it's hard, but not impossible. I wonder if that's pertaining to these characters, that it's hard to reconcile between the relationships of bully and the bullied, but not impossible. Interesting.
だな。
So it looks like he cares. Interesting. Yo, look at Hori's fist. She really let him have it, or let them have it. Wow.
痛くない？
何が？
And quick tangent, fighting sucks. There's no true winners when you're in a fight, physical fight, even if you win, because it's not like the movies or shows. Making fist contact with someone's another physical, like bones and face or whatever, making those actual physical contact literally hurts. I've been into one fight in high school my senior year because of this guy who kept hitting on my girlfriends in high school. So him and I, we ended up having a physical fight. And look at my pinky. It doesn't matter who won or who lost. It doesn't matter, right? This was like 20 years ago. But I don't know if you can see my pinky. Look at the difference in my pinky. This pinky is broken and it was never fixed. And I broke my pinky from punching his face at the time. So fine, I won the fight. Although I won the fight, I still lost because I broke my pinky and my fist was swollen for like 2 weeks. It really, really hurts after the adrenaline fades out and all that, after the moment ends and passes. And likewise, what I said, I did not feel good about even winning the fight because of my dissonance. My actions did not align with my beliefs. I'm a pacifist, although I'm a veteran, but still, right? Obviously, combat in the military, that's not a necessity, survival, so it's different. But I'm an actual pacifist. I'm a true believer in full nonviolence. So even at the time, I did not feel good of having to engage in a physical altercation. I really didn't feel good. But of course, I was more egoic because of my emotional immaturity, my maldeveloped or underdeveloped or prematurely developed brain development, because I was just a 17-year-old at the time and, high school and high school drama stuff. But all that to say, fighting in real life is not the same as in movies or shows. It really, really hurts. And that's why Izumi's checking in on Hori. I'm sure it's like throbbing for Hori as well.
ありがと
Aww.
なーに？はっきり言ってよ。
う。前にいる。
Yeah, Izumi's summon.
平手でいいか
嫌です。
ら。前みたいにさ、もう
Yo, Yo. Izumi summons Hori to defend Izumi. Of course, that's a joke because he actually didn't do that. She did it voluntarily. But this time, Hori is yet summoning Izumi's violent tendency again. Just use an open hand. I don't know if this is in sexual connotation or not, but obviously Izumi's like, please no, please no. I guess beating up the other blue hair guy reactivated Hori's tendency. I'm dead, yo.
嫌です。
Ah.
ね
ない。
お願い
Yo.
っつってんじゃん宮村。
から現れたし。
あの辺から
Oh.
遠くから見てらんなくなったんだよ。それでも男か。
見てたんだ。事情も知らないくせに口出す。
どうせあれだろ、エロいことだ
ってねえよ。
もう宮村は私のこと好きじゃないんだ。
違うよ。
おお、堀さんかわいそう。
Yo.
お前は黙って。
これでよければいつでも相談に乗るのに。ダメなこと？
うん進藤君じゃ意味のないこと。
やっぱりエロいことじゃねえか。お前の頭の中覗いてみてえよ。もう帰んだから行こう堀さん。
Again, this speaks to, oh man, too funny. This speaks to the amazingly wholesome and intimate, wholesome dynamic even between Shindo and Izumi. The fact that he can be part of this conversation three-way speaks to how close they are. And obviously Hori knows that, Shindo knows that, and Izumi knows that, right? Amazing.
堀さん。
もっと激しく。
いやーもう。行くぞ京子。じゃあ死んだ。
Ah.
私コンビニやりたい。
Yo.
なんだあれ。
Another evidence and proof that you cannot compare your romantic and relational dynamic with other people. It just doesn't work because every dynamic is uniquely wholesome because every individual within that dynamic is individually wholesome. Humans and relationships cannot be reduced. Reductionistic framework works well for Newtonian physics. It serves physics and a lot of STEM really well by reverse engineering, working on first principle, right? Reducing the specific parts based on the whole and vice versa. But being reductionistic does not work for humans and social sciences because we are not physical particles. We are humans. We are complex.
俺も喉乾いた。おごれ。
The green blue hair guy is sad because he's stuck with these bums. You can tell he's like the only wholesome guy among this group of bum. And obviously Shindo isn't really part of this group, but the fact that Shindo, another wholesome guy, great guy, is still friends with the blue hair guy since the middle school, I think speaks volume, and it suggests the wholesome potential, and there's a lot more to be revealed about the blue hair guy. That's my prediction.
なんだよ。
You guys, you bums.
ないわよ。
It's Hori.
なんだと。ほら。
Yo, this guy doesn't know because he wasn't there. He's about to get his ass beat. He's about to get his cheeks clapped. Hori's wanted open hands by Izumi. She's about to bless this new guy with her open hands by clapping his cheeks.
言ってんだてめえ。
なんだお前ら。リサイクル。
Yo, they learned their lesson. Hey, don't talk to her like that. You know what's the fastest way to learn a lesson from your mistake? Is when you get your cheeks clapped.
そうなの？ご苦労様。
Yo. Yo.
出せられるところだったぜ。え、何？
Yo, does Hori have like 5th black belts in jiu-jitsu? Martial arts? How is she so good at beating people up? Has she been I know she's been beating up obviously in a wholesome manner with the student council presidents and even low-key her dad. Because we saw how scared and timid the dad was toward Hori. So is it just a lot of training growing up? I'm dead, yo.
モンスター。あれ、あいつ。あったら。
Yo! Yo, look at the mathematical equation. Us below is less than Hori and Hori is less than Miyamura.
おっかねえ。お前ら、本当に何があったん？
Yo, man.
これなんてプレイ。てかこの人大丈夫？
I don't mean to king shame. And look at how happy Hori is. I would love to psychoanalyze Hori's violent tendency, the kink shame in the back, but I'm not really into the kink culture. Again, no judgment there. Obviously, when it's done consensually, it can be very healthy. It's a freedom of our expression and a lot of other stuff. So I don't really know too much about psychology of that kink culture because I'm not into it myself. But maybe I'll look into some literature and stuff clinically, and then maybe I can share some psychoanalysis in the future episode. But is she right in the head? I'm dead.
堀さん。
She's so happy.
さ
Ah.
もう何でもいい
Yo. She's too kawaii. The most unpunchable face. That just pure bliss of happiness. How can Izumi say no to her kink shame request? Oh, what a
そうい
comedic
うもんだ
relief.
と思うことにしよ
Just do it! Shia LaBeouf.
何のデビューだよ。中学の時は女叩くどころか俺らが何したって言い返せなかったのにな。
What a massive comedic misunderstanding, but man. And I think the green hair guy knows that's not who Izumi is. We'll see. But look at their generic ass looking guys, man. You guys are just side characters. Sheesh.
帰るわ。
あれもう帰んの？
ただい
See? The green hair guy cares about Izumi for whatever odd reason. I'm sure that bunny scene, maybe the green hair guy saw Izumi being the only person who looks out and who cares about those innocent bunnies. And maybe that's when he glimpsed into Izumi's wholesomeness and heart of gold. But obviously he's disengaging and he left because those side characters are still talking smack and all that. And he's not about it. In addition to maybe his own frustration. And I think he embodies cognitive dissonance. I think his dissonance is ever growing because I think he likes Izumi deep inside, like what Shindo said. I think he wants to be close with Izumi, but he doesn't have the courage to request and trying to reconcile with Izumi because of shame and guilt, because he was a bully himself. It's hard, but it's not impossible.
行ってきます
夕飯までには帰
Dad
んの
is
よ。
京介まだいたの
You're still here? She calls him by his first name. Oh man.
がないが、ここ俺の家だぞ。
う。あ、京介さん。相談したいことが。
Could I ask you for your advice? How do I deal with your daughter's king shame tendencies? Please, future father-in-law, help me with your daughter. How is he gonna bring this up?
任せろ。
え、何怪しい
Maybe there's two layers. It's hard, but not impossible with the title. It's hard to deal with my daughter's king shame tendencies and violence, consensually violent tendencies, but it's not impossible. Is the title double meanings?
うるせえ。男同士の相談事だ。
Even the music.
で、なんだどうした
Oh my gosh, they have no privacy. They're having this man-to-man talk in their bathroom, in a bathtub. How little respect does Hori and her mom have towards the dad? Couldn't have gone to like a study room or an office or a bathroom or a bedroom. They had to come to the bathroom. Yo.
なぜ風呂場ですね。
Exactly.
堀さん。
あ、二人目か。
一人目どこ
She preggers?
そうじゃなくて。
What does pregger mean? At first I was like, pregnant? No, can't. Of course not. What's pregger?
堀さん喜ぶんですけど。
何それなんてプレイ
ですよね。
Ah.
あれじゃん
Oh. Oh. Oh.
京介さんがきちっとして仕事に行くようなもんですか
近い。悲しい。
Mm.
そうっすね。
Taming a fierce golem. Another MMORPG reference. That's possible. Because again, I'm just basing off of Dad's potential analysis. And obviously the dad doesn't know about Hori's kink shame tendencies because that will be very weird. There is a lot of psychological truth to that. Because again, when there's established psychological safety, emotional safety, and physical safety, most importantly. Otherwise, without that consent and safety, it will be a domestic violence situation, DV. And obviously it's a reportable offense. So with all those criteria met, when we're seeing your significant other displaying an opposite tendency, if they're very timid, very meek, very passive, you want them to be more assertive, more aggressive, more aggro, even more violent, sexually or otherwise, I guess it's a turn on psychologically because it defies our expectation. In a way, our brains, again, this is not a neuroscience 101 class, so I'll skip the neuroscience, although I love neuroscience. According to the latest neuroscience clinical research, our brains is at large a prediction machine. It's a prediction model. we try to predict the world by minimizing uncertainty because certainty implies psychological safety by creating predictions. And through those predictions, over time, our brains literally and neurologically and physically get primed into create expectations. And that's why there's a reason why a lot of dopamine hit, whether it's substances, new technology, a new car, new phone, normalcy bias. Over time, we no longer derive the same dopamine hit, same joy and happiness from getting flashy new things. Because over time, that novelty fades. Why does the novelty fade? Because prediction model. Now we are predicting and expecting the same novelty. But because we already experienced the novelty, we no longer get excited. So guess what? We have to exceed the predictions. We have to exceed the established expectations by more. That's why dopamine is known as a more molecule. We want more of what we just had. That's dopamine in a very simplistic manner. That's why with substance use, drug addiction, alcohol, we need more of that. That's why tolerance get developed. That's why we develop tolerance towards substance, alcohol, but also flashy things. That's why we need more stuff. Capitalism, materialism, same thing. It's not just a capitalistic framework. It's actually neuroscience. It's our genetics. It's our hardware in a sense. So in that sense, Hori wants to summon, again, pun intended, Izumi's alter ego, this other character that is not of him, but opposite of him, because it defies Hori's established expectations and prediction model, and she derives dopamine hit, excitement, joy. That's why kink is a thing in a sense, because we're constantly defying the norm, the expectations. And neurologically, we derive excitement, we derive dopamine. And that's why in that sense, it makes sense, because it's defying the expectations.
ちょっと早く出てよ。お風呂入れられないでしょ。
京子、いいから座りなさい。
やだよ。
お前、宮村君がこんな悩んでるっつうのに。
めんどくさいな。
宮村君は
こと言ってないで家事の一つでも手伝えっつうの。
土星論。
ああ、耳が痛い。でも父、この前カレー作ったもん。
じゃねえ。レトルト温めただけでしょ。
でも美味しいって言ってたじゃん。
そりゃ
Get up, Izumi!
何この程よい温度。
おい、宮村君からお湯が。脱いで。
寝る前で脱ぐなバカ。
Oh man, again, super wholesome dynamic, super secure, amazing family, secure attachment style.
帰りにシュートカラオケ行ったんだけどさ。
英語？無理むずいし。
つってあいつ演歌とラップしか歌わねえんだ。
何でも聞いてるんだね。
洋楽も聞いて
What's enka? What kind of music genre is enka songs?
だけどな。あ、溝内。
Oh,
シカト。
堀さんのこと好きっぽいよ。
oh, that makes sense.
どんだけ人気なんだよ。
Yo, for real.
でも今なら言える。半端な気持ちで好きになるんじゃないと。
Yo.
そういや堀は
生徒会室かな。
探してくれ。
Do not fall for her unless you really mean it. Again, call back to my comments in the beginning. There's intended outcome / consequences and unintended outcome and consequences. Because we know what we know, but outside of what we do know is everything we don't know. And within that, outside of everything we don't know, is we don't even know that we don't know. You guys catch that? Oh. Of course they meet. Of course they meet.
携帯どっかで見なかった？
見てない。
そう。
そんなとこ。
Yeah, why would your phone be in there?
何だ。
でも俺らが使った後授業なかったみたいだし。 この部屋のどっかにあるはずなんだよね。
I guess I can relate. Sometimes I misplace my phone and all that or keys without finding my iPhone technology and all that. Because I'm so flustered, I will literally look at the fridge, the freezer. Logically, I know it cannot be in there. But I was like, well, I did open my fridge before I misplaced my keys or my phone. So maybe subconsciously I left it there. Who knows? It's like seeking assurance, right? So I get it. He has it.
番号は
Oh no.
え
Oh, he's gonna call.
あ、090の
Where is it?
あ、
Bruh.
あった
Bruh.
ケツのポケットに入ってんじゃねえか
And he drops
あり
it.
がとう。 本当に
It's
助か
shattered.
あれ画面黒くなっちゃった。
見つけ
Izumi, come on, bro.
たのに壊してんじゃねえよ。なんでお前みたいなやつが
溝内くん、
This is good. This is good. Remember what I said. Expression is the opposite of depression. What we do not express outwardly will get compressed and suppressed inwardly, and that would over time cause us to get depressed.
堀さんのことさ、殴れる？
なぐ
まあそんな感じかな。
堀に暴力なんてできねえ。
そっか。じゃあ溝内くんに堀さんに
Yo, this is so out of context. I hope Izumi explains. Otherwise, other guys like, what in the heck? What? There's no way to make sense of what Izumi said without context. There's no way.
ああ、宮村携帯あった？
え、なんで？
トールから聞いたよ。その辺すぐポンポン置くからこうなるのよ。
Bonbon.
もうほんとドジなんだから。
うるせえよクソ女が。お前だってあってろ。どけ。
She loves it. Hori loves it. Watch, Hori loves it. Yo! Yo! Hori's glistening! Hori's eyes are literally they're stars. There is entire constellation of galaxy within her eyes because she's so excited. I think Hori Izumi's doing this in part to demonstrate and tell the other guy that, hey, I wasn't just BSing you. Like, whatever I told you, it's real. Look. And second, if he hasn't told him the context, then maybe he's setting the stage, showing him first, because proof is in the work, and then explaining it. I need a moment. That might be the funniest scene so far. It might be one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen in any animes in the past year. Wow. How wholesome is this show?
宮
Man.
村俺宮村ってあんまりはっきり物とか言わないやつだと思って
Deep.
ちょっとバカにしてた。自分の彼女に対しては堂々としてんだな。
当たり前じゃん。
どうした？目元すごい赤いぞ。こすっちゃったか？
I think it viscerally hurts. It's painful physically for Izumi when she has to do the kink shame thing that Hori loves. Man, that's why his eyes are red. I think it literally pains him. Man, that's true love, guys. That's true love. Oh, man.
宮村、テロよ狭いだろ。
Oh.
どこにで？
Ooh.
さっ
Deep.
けんな。こんなロッカーみたいな場所が外なわけねえだろ。ロッカーみたいなとこなんだよ。外っていうのは。
Whoa.
谷原くん、いつも内側にいたからわかんないと思うけど。
Wow.
なんだよ。さっきから内と
Very,
か
very
外とか。
symbolic.
谷原くんから言い出したんじゃん。
Wow. バニーズ。
いないかでしょ。
Hmm.
味方がいるかいないか。それだけ。
Hmm. So before further flashback and context, Obviously, inside, outside. This is what outside feels like. It's very tight. That symbolizes loneliness. That the green hair guy truly feels lonely. And his internal landscape, his internal world is alone. Despite being with other bullies, generic friends, because they're superficial friends. No amount, no quantity of superficial relationships will fulfill the internal void. Because to fulfill your void, you need to fill it with meaningful substance, meaningful relationships. Let's see what the bunnies are about. Dang! Again, I might be overanalyzing, but I wonder if he, out of his loneliness and his own trauma, the blue hair guy, maybe he hurt those bunnies in middle school, and maybe he saw that Izumi saw what he did, or maybe that, and maybe that's the catalyst for his guilt and shame, and maybe that's why he was bullying Izumi, because of that feeling of judgment, paranoia, guilt. Of course, I might be overshooting it at all, always. Anyway, one more thing for anyone that knows who Carl Jung is. Carl Jung is one of the forefathers of psychology and psychotherapy. He pioneered the field that we call dream analysis. Because it's like a fishbowl analogy, I like to view our main consciousness, which is our awake state, and our subconsciousness, which is our dream state. And underneath that, the third layer, like Inception, like the elevator from Inception, metaphorically speaking, like the movie Inception, the bottom is obviously the unconsciousness. We have no access to our unconsciousness, but we can tap into our subconsciousness through our dream state. And what's in the conscious state, our awake state, when there's a lot of stress, a lot of situations, when we're being avoidant or in denial, when we're not confronting our work and our situations, when we're awake, when we're sleeping, our neurons are working really hard. And this is the reason why drugs and alcohol, when we're going to sleep under the influence, it actually impairs our neurons from working really hard to clean our neurotoxins. And neurotoxins or neural residues is a byproduct of our stress. The more stress we have are just as part of life, because suffering is part of life. Pain, struggle is part of life. And just by being a human, we have to endure stress. And all that stress get manifested neurologically as neurotoxins / residues. So when we're sleeping, our neurons have to literally work hard and be diligent to try to cleanse and help us de-stress. So when we're under the influence, it's not always helpful, right? Because it's impacting that. But of course, this is not about substance use, but I'm sharing that because when we're sleeping and when we have like nightmares clinically is known as stress dreams. And stress dreams is our subconscious efforts to help de-stress and cleanse from the spillover stresses from our awaking state, which is consciousness. So the fact that the blue hair guy is having a stressful dream about that, it's a reflection and depiction of his cognitive dissonance, his suppressed and repressed feelings and thoughts about Izumi and those bunnies. So anyone that's interested, because it could be a whole episode in itself, I'll look up Dream Analysis by Carl Jung, because I do utilize dream analysis techniques to interpret and decipher themes, recurring themes in a lot of my clients' trauma and their nightmares. And it is very, very therapeutic if you do it based on evidence-based approach.
宮村の番号知ってっけどなんで？いいから教えろっての。
He's calling Shindo.
ちょっと待って。宮村に一番懐いてたの分かってたはずなのにな。ウサギ。何？ウサギが何？うるせえよ。
See, everyone knew he's having his subconscious spilling out to the consciousness. Because he just dreamt about the bunnies, inside, outside, loneliness, Miyamura. As soon as he woke up, he's calling Shindo, appears to be so. And he talked about bunnies. Of course, Shindo's confused. But remember, our consciousness and our subconsciousness is interconnected.
早く番号教えろっつの。ちゃ、仕方かよ。
Or just an unknown number. Oh, it's because his phone's broken. Cracked screen.
泉、外のボード中入れといて。
分かった。
Izumi's
もう終わり。
mom's bake shop.
すみません。明日はお休みなので、明後日。
Such a dramatic leaf falling scene.
そこの角曲がってまっすぐ行くとちょっと大きいケーキ屋があるんだけど、そこならまだ開いてる。ここ
Oh,
の
he's
がいい
still
んだ
being
けど。
so nice.
あ、本当？
まあいいや。あさってね。
明後日。
チーズケーキがうまいんで。
See, the blue hair guys, I forgot, I never caught his name, but the blue hair guy's attitude changed. Even his voice, his tone is more subdued. He is more, I guess, somber, less aggro.
うまいよ。
そう。じゃあまたあさってくるわ。
あ、フルーツタルトも。美味しいよ。
じゃあ2個ずつ。じゃあまた来るわ。
うん。
あ、
My phone's broken.
修理に出すんだけど。
Nice.
ああ。
Another misunderstanding cleared. Remember, communication is complex, but necessary. And the most simple, direct fix to the complexity of communication is just verbalizing it, just talking it out.
そ
So,
う。なんだ。仕方されてんのかと思った。
biases. Mm.
と
Mm.
不安だった。
The blue hair guy is very introspective. And the fact that just from that quick interaction, he was able to, I guess, go inside. And that's a callback to that inside outside dream he had, the stress dream he had. He just went inside of himself inwardly and had an introspective moment that, oh, I thought he was ignoring me this whole time. The bunnies liked him more. Maybe he felt jealous because of his own fragile background, his own trauma. Maybe he finds solace and comfort in those bunnies, but the bunnies were always more excited to see Miyamura. Maybe that's his story. But through all that, he realized, oh, it was me who ignored him this whole time. He's very introspective, and he's also a wholesome guy, like I talked about in the beginning. I'm glad I bit my tongue with him. But the other guys, I'm glad Hori clapped their cheeks.
あ、いや、なんでも帰る。
来てくれて
Aww.
ありがとう。
Aww. Ah, such a disarming smile. That genuineness, that wholesome nature. Man.
餌忘れたんだ。
Oh.
当番だったのに。
Oh. No.
俺なんだ。
Oh.
俺なんだ。
さあ、
宮村。
Oh. He's gonna cry.
ごめん。
Oh, that guilt and
あの
shame.
日、その一言が言えていたらと、今さら胸が痛かった。
That makes sense. Remember, only two ways to reduce and close the gap of our cognitive dissonances: changing our beliefs or changing our actions. That's why he bullied Izumi, because he lied and he told everyone that because of Izumi, the bunnies died. But in reality, it was his own negligence, his fault. So that guilt, that shame, the self-judgment, I'm sure was eating away at him. I'm sure it was erosive. And because of that, he doubled down on his dissonance by doubling down on his bullying actions without changing his beliefs. But at last, in high school, after Hori has clapped his cheeks, talking with Shindo, all these things, in addition to his own self-awareness, his wholesome nature innately, plus his introspection, he finally clicked and realized, I should have said sorry all along. It was me. Izumi was innocent.
よし、これで最後。
手伝ってくれてありがとう。
卒アルだ。
Yearbooks.
ああ、中学のやつね、それ。
中学の頃の堀さ
Ah,
勝
he's
手に見
blushing.
たら潰す。扱いに困るのよね。 サイズが大きくて少しじ
Did
ゃ
anyone go back to like Facebook? I don't know if you guys remember MySpace, based on your generation, but anyone went back to like MySpace, Facebook, whatever, to delete and erase all their puberty, all their awkward stages of their photos, to eradicate all evidence. Anyone did that?
だけど捨てる気にはならないっていうか。宮村はもう捨てちゃった？
捨てたかったんだけどね。
I wanted to. He wanted to because by throwing away the physical evidence of the middle school yearbook, maybe he hopes to also erase and forget about the memories from the middle school. But of course, memories stay with us. Trauma stay with us unless we do the work, we reconcile, and we separate and untether our memories and experience, our memories from our experience of trauma, right? But sounds like he didn't throw away the yearbook.
重いし大きいし、どうしたらいいかわからないから。で結局捨ててない。自分にとって大事なものだったんだなって今思うよ。
宮村には昔捨てたかったものがあったんだろう。
Yep.
中学の頃の宮村を私は知らない。
Super deep episode.
なんとなく
Yeah. Yeah.
でも今は捨てなくてよかったって言えるものになったのね。
Hori understands Izumi's underlying emotion and intention, although there's discrepancies with his true intention and emotions and his words. Hori understood that Izumi chose to confront and accept all of his past. Even during middle school, despite his desperation to throw it away, the physical evidence of his trauma, he's no longer traumatized by the experience. Rather, he accepted all of himself, the good, the bad, and the ugly. He knew whether he likes it or not, liked it or not, is still a part of his memories, part of his upbringing, part of who he is. And more importantly, he also understood, maybe instinctively or otherwise, that I do not have to let my past define me because I am much more than who I were. I'm actively being renewed. I'm actively striving to becoming the best version of myself with Hori, Shindo, Toru, all the amazing friends, meaningful social relationships. Plus, I can tell Izumi's done a lot of work internally.
どういう感じになるのかな。
受け取るまでのお楽しみじゃない？写真自体は4月に撮っちゃってたけど。
Aww.
なんで溝内？
Aww.
この間ちょっと仲良くなった。
へえ。
Aww.
なんかこう。
こいつ
Uh,
M か。
谷原くんもね。
Aww. Izumi's a great guy, man.
すっごい難しいことだけど、
But it's not impossible.
友達になれない人なんかこの世にいないと思うんだ。
Wow, goosebumps. Wow, that's the true ethos, the essence of the title. It's hard, but not impossible. Izumi's heart, his emotional capacity, is deeper than the Pacific Ocean. And the Pacific Ocean is the deepest ocean in the world. So it's pretty freaking deep. Amazing. Hey, wow, I yapped a lot for like an hour and 20 minutes. Again, I hope my recording and my new setup went well because change is the constant. And after the initial discomfort comes growth. As always, smash that thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed to not miss my next episode. And remember, we are worthy, we matter. But to truly recognize and accept our self-worth, truly internalize the fact that we matter, we first have to reconcile with our past, accept the entirety, all of ourselves. Because without self-acceptance, external validation and affirmation can only go so far. There will be a bottleneck. We must first start with ourselves. Do the work, and you'll be surprised by the power of post-traumatic growth. As always, till next time. Peace!